I tell you, Matt, some people have never had Steve Byer or Kevin Addy as a manager, and it shows.
Um, or what sort of trauma are you starting to trying to pull out of me here? It's been a rough week. Like, I get it, but why are we talking about being
Just
traumatized as teenagers?
uh, you call it traumatized. I call it discipline, but whatever. Just saying, like, some people could stand to have a grocery manager yell at them.
On your first shift, tell you to go tell someone to f off.
Well, maybe
Like
not that
like
extreme.
like quite literally, like an hour into your first shift working with this guy, he pulls you aside, screams at you. That's like toughening up.
I mean, you knew how to rotate, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I can deal. I guess it worked. I survived, but yeah, it was a it was an odd week for us wrestling fans. I feel like it was ups and downs and having to deal with emotions. So I guess to your point, getting chewed out by your boss is a good way to learn how to cope with those emotions.
Well, that was just me. I told you about some of my week before we click record. That didn't even get into my work week. So yeah, that's where I was going with that. Is like, it's just some people needed to work in the grocery industry with a couple of hard asses and like to know how to do the job right. That's all.
Oh, I thought you were going with the whole. Sometimes you got to learn to eat a crap sandwich and like the taste of it.
No.
Because if I were going to summarize WWE last weekend, that's a pretty good way to go about it, actually.
Yeah. So welcome. It's Kris and Matt's Wrestling Pod 2.0. I'm Kris. That's Matt. And please subscribe to the channel here at musicandmoonsaults.com. That would make me feel a whole lot better. And leave a thumbs up on the video too. Cause since Sunday I've been I not to make light of people with actual depression, but I told Matt I've been going through a wrestling depression since Sunday I've almost been pure wrestling blackout. Like I watched one match on AEW on Wednesday. I think I've listened to one podcast since Sunday. Like, I just don't, obviously I scroll my timeline on Twitter and stuff, still get my Fightful Select alerts and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm just so, if the place where I was at Saturday night, leaving your place, like
mentally,
like I was on such a high, and like, it was, I tell you, this weekend, being specifically a fan of WWE is, I've said it a million times to you, it's like being a Lions fan. Like, the parallels are uncanny. Like, they bring you, like, this weekend.
No,
yes,
I disagree. No,
okay.
no. I disagree solely for the fact that WWE delivers from time to time. Saturday night was a NFC Championship win of a card, which you and I both know we've never sniffed around here. So,
okay.
I appreciate where you're going with it, but as a representative of the Den, I'm not going to let you miscategorize the ineptitude of the Detroit Lions compared to WWE.
Fair enough. I just meant from the fact that they give you, they go through long stretches of being terrible, and so you're to the point where you're like, fine, you know what? I am not going to let them affect my mood anymore. I'll watch them, I'll keep up with them, but whenever they inevitably shit the bed, it's not going to affect my day. And then a couple things happen, things start going right, and all of a sudden,
Matt Flynn happens.
Yeah, right. Or we could be having the same conversation this coming December. All the cards are on the table for the Lions to have a great season this year and win the division and all that kind of stuff. And just as easily, they could come out and crap the bed this year, and we're sitting at late December, early January going, where did it all go wrong? And that's how I felt WrestleMania weekend.
No, I can agree with that. And, before we got on air, you said you kind of wanted me to run the offense because you're so bummed out. It reminds me, the way you're feeling kind of reminds me of how I felt after WrestleMania 23, when I was just completely like, I'm so sick of watching Cena do the same thing over and over again. It's one thing if they want him to win all the time. It's quite another when it's not stimulating my enjoyment of wrestling, and it's to a point where like I don't need to see what happens next. I just want to know when this part of it is over. And it kind of feels like, for not just you, but for a lot of people, Sunday night just turned them into like, I don't need to pay attention to this any longer. When it does something that I hear about that piques my interest, that is completely separate from what I've experienced in the last year or so, 2 years, maybe I'll come back. Which, me personally, is where I was. What was that? 2019 with the Fiend and Seth in the cell. That was my breaking point, where it's like I don't care anymore. And like I literally leaving your place Sunday. I wasn't sweating it one way or another.
Right.
To do the Ric Flair, Mr. Perfect, Bobby Heenan after 1992 Royal Rumble. I'm not the kind of guy to say I told you so, but I told you so. They were laying it out pretty thick if you were paying attention that Cody wasn't winning that match. And I don't mind that he didn't win, but the way it all played out was just, for me, all the evidence I needed that things haven't gotten better. It hasn't changed. It kind of to your point about the Lions, every time they take 2 steps forward, they take 4 steps back. You start to think maybe they've turned a corner. And Sunday night as a whole made me go, they still haven't figured this out. And the main event really kind of cemented that things aren't as perfect as wrestling fans had thought they were heading into that weekend.
Yeah, I guess let's start there then with the main event Sunday, because I know
it's the only thing to talk about, right? We can talk about the other stuff, but what happened Sunday and in the Monday is kind of to me the most important thing coming out of the weekend.
But so I guess like my feelings on it and what it looks like they're doing with, like, this is every reason why I think Cody needed to win, because now he's gonna face Brock in Puerto Rico probably, and maybe he wins, maybe he doesn't, but I just, and like, if he was like, if he's gonna lose to Roman, there's 2 ways to do it. He either gets beat clean by Roman, in which case, well, then he's not worthy for a rematch regardless, or he loses the same way every other freaking person has lost to Roman, with a bunch of interference and crap like that, and it's not satisfying for anyone. And as a character, it makes him look stupid because like he hasn't been watching the product for 2 years, because that's how Roman's beaten everybody.
Well, that's kind of been my point all along about this whole taking down the bloodline. I said it last week. If you just look at it from a realistic perspective, it's still 3-on-5. The numbers game is still there. There's no reason to think that they've made any real dent on the bloodline in a kayfabe sense. You said having him lose clean would have been made him not worthy. I think if you do like a Steve Austin WrestleMania 13 type thing where he's fighting and he's trying,
but Steve, hold on.
Yeah.
Steve Austin was not wrestling for the title at WrestleMania 13.
My point, if you would let me finish,
All
is
right.
the sympathy that he drew from fighting and trying to overcome the sharpshooter and prove that he can do it is a better way of ending that match than having all the gaga, as Pat Patterson liked to talk about. Because to me, the main event of WrestleMania cannot be treated like the end of a Monday Nitro episode from 1998. It needs to fit. To me, the main event should finish with a definitive, this person won. And if you set it up as throughout the match, Solo does the little thing where he's jabbing Cody with the chair and all that, fine. you weaken him down, then Cody or the ref sends Solo out, and it's Cody and Roman one-on-one, and Cody just can't overcome because he hasn't faced a guy like Roman. You can build the redemption arc of, I didn't know what I was getting into. I like that a lot more than screw job finish, Roman ducks him, Brock comes out on Raw Monday, attacks Cody, and now Cody's just going to completely forget about getting screwed at WrestleMania. Like, that makes no sense to me as a wrestling fan. I can understand dude ran into a buzzsaw, didn't realize what he was getting in the ring with, and he realizes now he's got to work even harder. He's got to do even more. And part of that is I got to learn to take down the bloodline, but also I got to get better in the ring so I can beat this guy one-on-one, because you can tell two stories at once there. You can tell the story of how the bloodline is all that Roman has to keep himself as champion. And once the bloodline is gone, then you can tell the story of Cody overcoming the odds and taking down the king or the tribal chief in this situation. And for wrestling fans, I feel like that would get them more excited about Cody than whatever it is they're going to do with him going forward.
But here's the thing with that. The only people that weren't like the only people that have been saying what you've been saying is, oh, well, this makes Cody go through adversity, are the people that didn't want him to win in the first place. The people that wanted him to win were going to be with him regardless.
But
like,
go ahead.
No, I think that's a bullshit. Like, he needed to win. And now it's like, whatever. Like, okay, I don't think he's going to win at all now. Like, I don't think he's ever getting the title now.
Well, now that Vince is back in charge, there's no telling what's going to happen. And I know they're saying that the story is out that they made the decision weeks ago to have Cody lose. Well, if that was the case, then they did it to themselves. If they knew he was going to lose, they shouldn't have been building him up to get this many people excited for it.
If he was going to lose, he shouldn't have been the challenger at WrestleMania.
That's Seth, fine with me too.
Seth should have won. You should have just flip-flopped him and Seth. He should have wrestled Logan Paul. Seth should have wrestled Roman. Because at least because Seth, Roman got disqualified in their match, and he never got a rematch. And I don't think anyone would have realistically thought Seth was going to beat Roman. So you're not really losing anything there. Yeah, I look, we'll never know. Well, maybe we will. Maybe Hunter will one day just blow a gasket and spill all the beans, or someone will get upset and spill all the beans. You won't convince me differently that Vince wasn't heavily involved in all of this from about December forward. Yeah. Well,
and his involvement is the problem with everything that happened in the over the 72 hours of WrestleMania weekend.
Mm-hmm.
All the goodwill that they had built up with the fans over the last 7-8 months is wiped out. There's no reason to get excited about your favorite wrestlers anymore, because we've seen Vince will turn on a dime and decide, nope, I don't like this. We're going somewhere else. And everything that you're excited and happy to watch is gone. Like, Sammy and KO, do you really expect them to have a great run through the summer, knowing what we know about how much Vince McMahon hates tag team wrestling?
No.
So, like, as much as it's a terrible situation in that they built Cody up, I don't know that we can really blame the people that were there, like a Hunter or a Pritchard, or it all comes back to Vince. And once you know that Vince is involved with it, all of this makes sense of how terrible it played out.
I don't know. I think
it's pretty clear they wanted Rock and Roman, and this was the backup plan. And the backup plan was always, if Rock's not coming in, Roman's just keeping the title. And they have effectively, I think, killed one of their top baby faces with the way they handled the weekend.
Yeah.
And what I was trying to say earlier is, if you want to make him lose, that's fine. The way they did it, I don't think it helped anybody in the company get any better or bigger in the eyes of the fans. If anything, it made all of them look worse.
Right. No, yeah, for sure. I just think, like I said, I don't buy into the whole, if he loses clean, then he's got something. Like I just don't. That wouldn't have been any less dissatisfying to me. Like the only outcome that was going to be acceptable Sunday was Cody winning, and they just didn't do it. So I guess it really didn't matter how they did it. It just, I don't know. I don't understand. I don't know what more he needs to do to, or anyone else needs to do to show like that they can carry the ball. Like someone other than Roman can carry the ball. Like, I don't know. It's just,
I mean,
he's the top merch seller. He's like, I don't
know. I think this might be a different discussion for a different day. I think part of it too is there is no pressure financially on WWE ever again with this sale.
Right.
And there hasn't been pressure on the WWE for a long time since these television rights deals and the Saudi deals came through. It doesn't matter if Cody's the ratings draw or if Cody's the top merch seller. Whomever the top merch seller is going to sell whatever they're going to sell regardless, they're not overly worried about that. They're worried about satisfying TV ratings and attendance numbers. And look, whether you want to admit it or not, since Roman's been champion, when he shows up, the ratings go up, the attendance is high. Like the metrics show that he's a draw. And the babyface against him doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who he's facing. The numbers are always going to do well because that's WWE's built-in hardcore audience isn't going anywhere, and the rest of the money is subsidized through the Saudi deals and the TV deals. They don't have to worry about making the fans happy. They have to worry about, as long as attendance is up and the ratings are up, we don't have to sweat it. Because like I said to you last week or 2 weeks ago now, I don't think Cody was ever going to be hotter than he was going in. He was the biggest star in the company. He was the biggest babyface. The only way to make him hotter in my eyes was to not put the title on him and make people pissed off that he doesn't have the belt. But other than that, let me. If he's the champion Monday night, I'm sure everyone rides it high. But now that you know who is back, it's how long would it have taken before they absolutely killed his babyface run? Because they've done that a million times to people.
Maybe it was they were always going to, because I don't. This, like I said, this just didn't do him. This isn't going to do what they think it's going to do. So for him, the people aren't.
I think putting him in the ring with Brock this isn't going to help him at all.
Well, but I just mean, like, you didn't get people aren't mad at Roman. Like, people.
No, but no, people are mad about Roman too. Like, if you're reading, like, I don't know what you've been seeing on Twitter because you said you went dark. Reddit has been a field day of Roman sucks. I'm tired of watching Roman. I'm not watching until Roman loses. Like, I've seen that all over the place.
No, he's just carrying out the playbook that, he's right. Running the plays that they're calling. So, it's very repetitive. I'll say that. And it's like, okay, I'm ready to see something different. And again, like, I don't see how we're in, and again, I didn't watch Raw, and I know there was some sort of interaction with Heyman and the Usos backstage. But I don't know. We're still in a place where we're in that part of the story where Roman still holds all the cards because he's still champion. Like, that's not interesting to me. That part of it's not interesting to me now. So I either needed the whole thing. I either needed all of them to lose, or like I said, and knowing what I know now, I'm glad they didn't go this route because at least we got the Sammy and Kevin moment on Saturday. But the other, like I said, the what would have been more interesting to me coming out of WrestleMania is either they all have no titles or the Usos still have theirs and Roman doesn't have his. Because now it's like I just said, now Roman still has all the power. He's still got he's still the tribal chief. Okay.
And I think the overall feeling, not the overall, but like I think for me, it like leaving Sunday was just like, man, they did a really great story for the last. I mean, it's been going on for 2.5, 3 years in general, but the last 9 months, year or so has been really good stuff, and we got that. But seeing how the main event ended, seeing how everything shaped out on Raw, I'm not interested in watching the next season, so to speak.
No.
I don't need to see the fallout of the Usos with Heyman and Roman. I don't need to watch Cody battle Brock, be the Brock Slayer so that he can get his shot back at Roman. Like it's just kind of, it's flat to me. And then knowing what we know about Vince coming back is enough for me to realize like there's no reason for me to trust anything that they're going to do. Roman said in the press conference after the show that, I'm cooking. You guys want McDonald's, you want fast food, and I'm here making filet mignon. Sorry, Roman, I've gotten food poisoning from Vince McMahon enough times. I'm not eating at that restaurant anymore.
No. Yeah, that whole that made me mad more than that. And then I can't who's was it him or Heyman said something about how they're just in the third inning or something like that, or
yeah.
And I'm like, God help me. Like I don't know. So yeah, it just really sucks because I was really like, I love AEW, and I think they're in a really great place right now with what they're doing. But as a little kid, I fell in love with the WWF, and for wrestling will always be better to me when WWE is good. And I had a nice little run there up until Saturday night where I was like in a great place because I'm like, man, that Saturday night show was one of the greatest WWE shows ever. Like that top to, well, not top to bottom. The Cena match was a little but other than that, like that show was phenomenal. And coming out of that, like they had, you told me they had, announced Cody's going to be at the Toledo House show here in a couple weeks. And like, man, Cody wins the title. I'm going to go, see him with the belt a couple weeks after he won. That's going to be so awesome. I'll plop down my $20, no problem. SummerSlam tickets are coming up on sale next week. Like they're finally bringing a big 5 show to Detroit again. Like there's a lot to be excited about. And then Sunday was just like, and even like throughout Sunday, like, the triple threat match was great. It was as advertised. It was
everything else on the show
literal 5 stars. And then everything else was mediocre or terrible
at best.
And I'm like, you know what? As long as I get my happy ending, whatever. I still had last night, and then they just didn't do. And like even you you've said something like, oh, they're gonna do a dusty finish. I'm like, okay, yeah, I could see it. And then they didn't. They just went off the air with the pyro, and I'm like, oh, okay. And now it's think? And then I'm like, well, I'm for sure not going to that Toledo show now.
Oh yeah,
that made that decision easier. And now I'm even like, part of me is like, no, screw them. I'm not spending my money for SummerSlam. But the other part is like, I might as well buy a ticket. I mean, they're going to get if I don't buy it, someone else is going to. That's SummerSlam's going to sell out. So I might as well buy a ticket. And then if I'm just not in a place where I want to,
and that right there is the problem with WWE. It's going to sell out no matter what.
Right.
So like they don't have, it doesn't matter. And that's what I was getting at earlier. It doesn't matter anymore who's on the card, where they're at. Like they're going to draw their people.
It doesn't matter to one person. I think it matters to other people in that company, but it doesn't matter to one person. Unfortunately, he's the only person that matters.
I mean the bottom line, like financially, it doesn't matter.
Sure.
And at the end of the day, it's a publicly traded company. That's all that matters. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure we'll get into the sale at some point, either this week or next week or in the future. But like, that is all that they don't care about making fans happy because they sell it as an experience. And for diehards like us, it's why I quit paying attention a long time ago. And I came back when Vince left because I don't want to support something that he's involved with financially. I don't want to support it financially. And now that he's back, I'm right there with you. Like, I won't be going to any shows, not buying merch, not watching every week. I don't care what they announce for Backlash and Money in the Bank. I'm not watching. Like, I'm out. I'm back to where I was a year ago. I'll tune in around Royal Rumble, watch the Royal Rumble because it's my favorite show of the year. Obviously, I'm going to watch Mania, but I'm not watching Raw and SmackDown. And I don't care that Carmelo Hayes and Braun Breaker have a 4.5-star match. You're not going to get me to watch anymore.
Right. Yeah. So that's the dilemma I'm facing now with a week.
I do have a question for you real quick, though.
Yeah.
What did you think of the main event match itself? Because some people say it was an incredible match until the finish, and I disagree.
Honestly, after the
you don't even remember.
Yeah, I really don't. Like, I'm sure it was fine. Like, I don't think it was actively bad. But it just, again, I was waiting for the moment. To me, the match, whether
and 80,000 people in that stadium.
Like, to me, whether the match was good or bad was, at the end of the day, was going to be inconsequential. As long as my guy ended up winning, and he didn't win. So then it really didn't matter whether the match was good or bad, because it's like, well, who cares? So.
Sure. I'm curious, and I'm not saying you're going to do this. I'm curious, all the people, it's kind of like when, I'm Lions free. I'm done with the Lions. And now everyone's back on the bandwagon around here, people that haven't been paying attention. I wonder if Cody wins Money in the Bank and announces I want Roman at SummerSlam one more time. How many people are going to fall for it and come back?
See, but I don't think him winning Money in the Bank was going to help him either. Like, look, I love Cody, but I am like aware enough to know he has a shelf life with his popularity. Eventually, he's going to do something, or just time is just. He's going to wear on people. I get it. Like, I understand it. I do. I might not feel that way about him, but I recognize that other people do. So you had a window here. And whether he won the title or not doesn't change the window.
I disagree, but to my argument from a couple of weeks ago, I agree there is a window. And I think if you have him hold off until the summertime to beat Roman, you can stretch it out until maybe the summer of next year. And then you're going to have to make some changes with him. I don't think he's the sort of guy that can stay hot that long.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've got him chasing the guy that everyone wants to see come down, I feel like you can extend it a little longer. Kind of like with Hangman and Kenny last in AEW a few years ago. He should have won the belt at All Out, but he needed to take some time off for the family. So they extended it out a couple months, and it kept him relevant. But because they never did the match in the first place, I feel like he died out. Because Cody had the match, I feel like you could have extended it a little more, but is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Like, for me, the whole weekend, like, Saturday was such a great show, and then Sunday happens, and I'm like, man, that was a crappy show. I feel really bad. Like, I felt bad for you. I felt bad for wrestling fans because they had an opportunity to almost do like a love letter to professional wrestling over the weekend.
Yeah,
and they got through like the first half of the letter, and maybe the back half rambled on a little bit. But they could have finished it up with a nice sentimental moment. And instead they were like, I never loved you. I always loved my ex.
Yeah.
But please don't leave me because I need you to be here going forward. But I'm still going to be with my ex.
Yeah.
and I'm really big on just Vince being back is like, it's not going to be fun anymore. I wanted to come on here and like goof around with you. And like I had a parody song of Cody's I was going to sing and all that, but it's like, this isn't fun. It's not like, it's not like, oh man, my guy won, your guy lost, but we're both enjoying the story.
Right.
It's like, the guy I wanted to win won, but I hated the way they did it. It didn't do anything to make this show any better. So it's not fun. And now that Vince is here, it's not going to be fun.
Yeah. So I guess we can move into that. So it was announced it didn't get announced till Monday, but it was leaked over the weekend that the Endeavor, who's the parent company of UFC, is buying WWE for like $9.3 million or whatever.
Billion with a B.
Billion, yeah, sorry. Yeah, you're right. Billion with a B. And in that, Vince McMahon is second in command of the whole freaking company, of this new company that they're forming together. Because of this, I guess is it more of a merger than, I don't know, whatever, business, who cares? But yeah, long and short of it, Vince was, there's been, people saying Vince has been back for a while now, ever since, he kind of forced his way back in late December, early January on the business end to facilitate the sale and whatnot. And that's always been, pushed back on and stuff like that. And I haven't really bought into it either, other than maybe the Brock stuff, maybe I could definitely see him having a hand in, but the rest, I've been made no bones. I don't Triple H isn't perfect. So just because something is bad doesn't mean it was Vince's idea or whatever. But Monday, Vince is back, and it was the same stuff as before. He's tearing things up. He's, changing things last minute. He's scrapping things, adding things, all kinds of stuff. And that's kind of the combo, apart from the way WrestleMania ended, to have that 1-2 punch, of that ending. And then, by the way, Vince is back. Looks like he's back. We'll see. Some people are hopeful that maybe just because, they were still in LA and he was there and everything like that, we'll see. Does he fly his ass all the way out to Portland tonight for SmackDown? But yeah, it's not great, Bob. And, yeah. And so that's why I'm kind of, like I said, I'm going to take a step back and kind of see how things go and make my decision then if I want to still go to SummerSlam or not.
Yeah, it's well, first I'm shocked that they got $9.3 billion for the company. It's the largest, isn't it the largest sports and entertainment media group in the country now? Probably.
That makes sense.
It's larger than the group that the guy who owns Formula One, and he owns a bunch of other stuff, was trying, I guess, was active in talks, and then this Ari Emanuel came in, was just like, no, we'll pay up to merge the two. I mean, this is not to get into the weeds about business, but this is financially going to make a lot of sense for WWE. They're going to be able to negotiate TV rights combined with UFC. When Snickers wants to advertise, they're going to have to advertise with both companies now. WrestleMania was disgusting from the sense of constant product placement, shoving ads down your throat, middle of the match. This match is brought to you by Intuit TurboTax.
But you know what? It's not. Turn on any sports broadcast. It's not any different. It didn't bother me.
I don't care. It bothers me. It bothers me when I'm watching the football game. You want to run commercials? Run your goddamn commercials. That's fine. Run them at the commercial time. I don't need to be and that Patrick Mahomes 20-yard pass was brought to you by Prime Energy Drink. Act like a jackass. Drink Prime. Be like Patrick Mahomes' brother. Drink Prime. I don't need that part of it. I get it. They want to sell their advertising, but like how long, honestly, how long until you see product placement on the mat, on the gear of the talent? It's going to happen. It'll happen.
Sure.
And then CM Punk will go on another rant about how that was his idea. And then Chris Jericho will say, no, it was my idea. And then Hogan will say, well, really, brother, it was my idea. And it'll just be a cluster on the internet.
Well, real quick aside. So I saw this on Twitter, and I haven't stopped laughing about it since. Someone said that Jericho is going to convince Tony to have Fozzy play him to the ring when they do the Wembley show. That way he can claim that Fozzy has played Wembley Stadium.
There you go. That's a good idea. Yeah, probably. That's not a bad
I'm
bad
for it.
guess.
I'm for it.
Yeah, but I mean, just the sale, back to the sale, it's like crazy. It's only going to increase their brand exposure. I don't think it's very long until you see guys like Conor McGregor showing up on Monday Night Raw, getting in people's faces.
We'll see. Dana said that there won't be very much crossover. So.
Sure.
But.
Whatever.
I don't know. It just sucks because, here all this time I thought, the biggest worry for me was like, just don't sell to the Saudis, please. And it's like, well, actually, here.
We're going to sell, yeah.
Sure, we won't sell to the Saudis. We'll just sell to these people instead, who obviously don't give a damn about, sexual impropriety or smacking your wife on camera or anything like that.
Well, I mean, if you're looking for good people in wrestling, you gotta pretty much eliminate anybody who wasn't around in the 1970s.
Sure. No, I know. It's just, yeah. I was just holding out hope there was someone out there that was going to give them the money they wanted, but also was like, you know what? We don't need Vince around anymore.
Right. But I mean,
it's too good to be true, I guess.
I don't know if you saw Vince's interview on CNBC, but he said like, I was out of wrestling. I was ready to leave. And then Ari Emanuel said he wasn't going to let that happen.
Sure.
Whatever. So just like Vince has owned up to every mistake he's made in his life. And
sure.
All the other nonsense he spit out.
Sure. Whatever.
So you didn't watch Dynamite this week, but you said you watched the tag match.
I did.
What did you the Guns have arrived. That entrance was like that character presentation is what they've been missing all along. Like the minute I saw it, I'm like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That clicked with me. That made me go like, oh my God, these guys have finally found something.
Mm-hmm. No, my thing with them has never been because I think they suck. Like, I think they're a good team. They just haven't, like you said, there's been something missing. So just sucks for them that they waited until the night they were losing the titles to find it, but it is what it is. I mean, especially after the events of the weekend and everything, it was kind of like a no-brainer. Especially because, they put in the main event, but, once it looked like Vince was definitely back, you knew that there's no way in hell that FTR was leaving. So it was kind of like we talked about a few weeks ago, you weren't in favor of the stip because you were pretty sure they were staying, and I was too, but there was enough of a chance where I was interested in it, but by the time Wednesday rolled around, I was like, well, they're definitely not going anywhere.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, good for them. So.
Well, like I said, I just it was interesting to see. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to move on to something else, but go ahead.
It was just interesting to me to see them finally pull. Like, I think everything finally came together. Where like, okay, they found something here where they're not just their dad's little brats. They're not having to hang on to the side of like established acts. I feel like the Guns now going forward are an act that people are going to be interested in, not because of who they're wrestling, but because of who they are.
So did Sean gift Billy a bunch of his old ring jackets and then the
or
asteroids
the Guns were like, no one's done this since Shawn. Let's take it.
fair enough.
I mean, that's the thing we do in wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's not around, we just take it.
Yeah.
We just make it our own.
No, that's fine. I just like it's like the one of them was like that's clearly like the Rumble '97 one, and
Yeah.
So it's just funny that their motif is more of an ode to Shawn than an ode to their dad, but whatever.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna steal, you steal from the best, right?
True. Good point.
And they did have lips on their gear at one point, didn't they?
I think, but it's been a while since they moved over to like the they look like the original Shawn Michaels singles tights.
Yeah. The ripped pants and all
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But they swerved me. I thought for sure wearing all white they were going to bleed buckets, but no such.
Yeah. Moxley wasn't in the match.
True. Yeah, so I guess they stabbed Hangman in the eye with a screwdriver.
Yes. Well, that Brian did.
Yeah. Did they explain that no one else was there, or why no one came out?
No, they didn't. They didn't do any of that.
Cool.
They haven't mentioned any. They didn't mention anything about. I guess one of the Bucks is hurt.
Yeah, Matt's
like
got
legit hurt.
Yeah, Matt's got like a bicep or tricep or something like that.
Yeah. So I would assume. I mean, it's same time as last year. They're getting hit by the injury bug. It seems like. I would assume the plan for the Elite versus BCC is on hold until he's healthy, right? So maybe they had Hangman get his eye taken out, and I'm sure Kenny will be next.
Yeah.
But they Brian came out and he cut an okay promo, but as you know, talking isn't his strong point, so he just ended up repeating himself over and over again. But he just established that they're the real professional wrestlers in wrestling, not just in AEW and all of wrestling, and everyone else are amateurs, and they're just going to go after the rest of the locker room now.
Cool.
So I would expect like 4 to 6 weeks of them just destroying random people throughout the company until the Elite is ready to go.
Sounds good. We're getting Keith Lee versus Chris Jericho.
Yeah. Is that this week?
I think so.
This Wednesday, yeah.
I think that's what they announced.
They set that up. You know what? I don't remember seeing a graphic for a bunch of matches next week aside from Keith Lee and Jericho.
Okay.
Because they mentioned some stuff on Rampage tonight and Battle of the Belts, but they didn't. I don't recall seeing anything else announced for next week.
Okay.
But I mean, the exciting news from AEW was the announcement of All In.
Yeah.
Wembley Stadium can hold, it can hold 90,000, but with a wrestling setup, I saw somewhere where 85 is not out of the question. It'll be interesting to see if they can fill half of that.
Right.
To me, I texted you the other night when they announced it. Like, it's awesome they're doing a stadium show, but then also I'm wondering, like, it'll look really bad if they've got one of those setups where every time the camera pans, you can see empty seats all over because they couldn't get more than a third of the arena.
I don't think they'll have that problem. I whether they sell it out, who knows? But I think it'll look decent. Because like I said, like I told you in the text, like the people over there have been waiting for 4 years now for them. You know, we thought us in Detroit were starving for an AEW show last year. Like, they're really clamoring for it over there.
I mean, to be fair, there was a global pandemic that killed about 2 years of that being a possibility.
Sure. No, sure, but doesn't take away from the fact that it's still like, I don't know, like.
All due respect to our friends across the pond, I don't really care that they don't get to see the shows as much. They live where they live. We live where we live. You can't help it that the wrestling's close to us.
Right. No, sure.
And as Detroit being one of the great wrestling towns in the world, the fact that we've gotten a show from AEW
soon to
is
be
a little
two.
disrespectful. Okay.
Be 2 next month.
We get one every year. Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Meanwhile, they'll run 18 shows in Chicago this year.
Yeah. Yeah. That is weird that they're doing that, and then like the very next week is All Out.
I saw someone was speculating, and it's pure speculation, that All In might not be a pay-per-view. That it might be because apparently HBO Max is supposed to announce a standalone app for AEW soon, I guess, and they're saying that might be the big ticket sell of like download the app, you'll get to watch All In for free, because pay-per-view providers don't have it listed as a pay-per-view program.
That'd be cool,
at least as of right now.
Yeah,
and it would make sense because then you can do the All In, then do All Out, and you can charge people for the maybe the almost like WrestleMania night 1 and night 2.
Yeah.
And they'll screw us at WrestleMania or at All Out because night 2 is where you screw the fans over. That's where they'll have Punk come back and have him eat a pin in front of everybody.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's good for them though. That's a big deal. So, anything else?
I don't really have anything, man. It sucks seeing you so bummed out about wrestling. I wanted to get on here and have fun today, especially after Saturday night. But
like I said, if it wasn't for the Vince stuff, like I probably would have been able to. But that just that was just like kicking me while I was down.
Sure.
It was just like, oh, by the way, Vince is back. It's like,
yeah. So any hope of it getting better is completely out.
Well, that's what I said, and that's why I said, well, now it's like Cody probably won't ever get the title. We both know that one of Vince McMahon's favorite pastimes is messing with the Rhodes family. So,
well, and messing with people that he doesn't think came to him, he had to go get. Like, remember back in the day, the whole thing was like, if he didn't sign you from WCW, you weren't getting a major push in his company if you came over after the fact.
But Cody did
But he also left and trashed the company. So what better way to get back at him than I don't think that's actually what happened. I still subscribe to the theory they wanted Rock and Roman. Rock told them no. They said, fine, we'll just do it with Cody. He's another person who hasn't faced Roman. He's hot. It'll work. And I mean, people were white hot for it until they screwed it up.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for sure when Brock came out on Raw Monday, I thought for sure they were going to have Cody pin Roman clean as a whistle, middle of the ring, to set up Roman ducking him throughout the summer until he can get his match. But then when I saw the clip of because all I saw of what happened was it was just a Twitter video, and I opened it up, and as soon as Cody walked to the center of the ring, I'm like, oh no.
Mm-hmm.
And then Brock attacked, and I was like, well, there went that idea. Because I thought maybe if Cody pins Roman in the middle of the ring after getting screwed the night before, you could maintain the momentum a little bit of like Cody proved he can beat him. Cody proved that he can hang. All he needs is another ally on his side. Maybe it doesn't have to be Brock. And you could have convinced people, all right, the next time it happens, Cody's going to win. But
what a foursome that would be. Cody, KO,
right.
Sammy, and Brock.
Well, I was thinking it wouldn't have to be Brock, but if you can find one more person to help. But
yeah, they need to do the whole Ocean's 11 bit. You think we need one more?
I think we need one.
We need one more, don't we? All right, let's get one more. Yeah.
Right. Which probably actually would have worked even better than how they did it on Raw Monday with that stupid, you can find a partner, but it can't be anybody who's allowed to challenge Roman. Like, okay, how convoluted, whatever.
Yeah. Anyways.
Oh, we do have to talk about one more thing before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
Not to make light of someone getting hurt, but the highlight of Sunday night, Shane McMahon completely blowing his knee out, and then Snoop Dogg having to save the day. Like,
God bless Snoop Dogg.
If
he wasn't already inducted to the Hall of screw it, induct him a second time. Who cares?
Right. Like, if you look at like that 90 minutes of like the last 90 minutes of that show, where like a Hell in the Cell match gets stopped because one of the competitors is bleeding, and the 50-year-old babyface goes over in the match, and then Shane blows his knee out in front of the world, and Snoop Dogg has to like pivot on the fly, and then they just screw all the fans over. Like, it was just 90 minutes of like, this is why people can't let go of WWE even though they want to.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They sprinkle just enough. Like, here's that triple threat match. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's the stuff right there. And then it's surrounded by just a bunch of terribleness. But they give you that little taste.
Once in a while, they give you that taste.
And it's
you got to learn to kick it. Got to get off the stuff.
Yeah. Haven't found that yet. Haven't found the cure yet. Maybe one day. But all right, tune in next week where I tell you where my SummerSlam tickets are.
Highest bidder.
I'm not like, yeah, it is stupid to buy them. I know. But there's like, again, there's that part of me that's like, well, so if as unfeasible as this is, if Vince was maybe just back for the night wrecking shop, like for old time's sake, and then it's like, Hunter, you're in charge. And then, you know, I kind of watch from afar, you know, and things get better. And he does get his rematch at SummerSlam. And then I'm left scrambling for a ticket. That would suck. So, and again, if I don't buy it, some other doofus is going to buy it anyway. So what difference does it make? They're going to get their money.
Yeah,
and
they don't get it from you.
Well, whatever.
See, and that's, again, that's the problem.
It is the problem.
Because you say you're done, you say you're mad, but I'm telling you, once it is official on Saturday, August 5th at Ford's Field in Detroit, Michigan, Cody Rhodes. Yeah, exactly. Cody Rhodes gets his rematch against the Tribals. You'll be there lathering up in that WWE soap. You'll be drinking the Kool-Aid all over again. Red, white, blue Cody. You'll be all about it, singing the song and whoa, because that's how they get you.
Yep. And then if Cody loses again, then we burn Ford Field to the ground.
Whoa. I'm not saying we don't burn Ford Field to the ground. Let's wait for the Lions to give us the final reason to burn that facility to the ground.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. All right. Find something else in Detroit to destroy.
Won't be brand new buildings because they're all parking lots. Thanks,
yeah, exactly.
family.
Yeah. Welcome to District Detroit.
We've got all the pristine parking you could ever enjoy.
I mean, it's handy when you're going to an event. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you never have to look for parking. Yeah, it's great.
So
I'm sure the people in Detroit love it.
I'm sure they do.
Maybe that's the next thing Cody can fix. We'll bring Cody to the city. He'll solve the financial problems because he's a problem solver.
He is.
He fixes things. I'm just saying.
He sacrificed his chance at the title to make sure KO and Sammy got reunited and had their moment. That's how I'm choosing to spin it.
Okay. Well, at least they got their moment then.
At least they got that. Like, Jesus. At least we have Saturday to look back on. I'll just wipe Sunday from my memory. Saturday was so good, Matt. What the hell?
I don't know. It's almost like it was supposed to do it.
They can do it. They just choose not to.
Yeah, they can, but also this is probably another conversation for you and I to have offline. But I could also argue that they lucked into a great show Saturday night too.
Oh,
Because if Ronda doesn't tell them I don't want to work with Charlotte at Mania, I want to team with Shayna. That match probably does.
She's hurt too, so.
Right. But the story is out there that the reason Ronda dropped the belt to Charlotte a few weeks back was she said she wanted to work with Shayna at Mania. She didn't want to do a title match. She didn't want to lose again. Is the way it's been that I read, and that's why she was in that 4-way. If that doesn't happen, the Rhea match is completely different. Rhea and Charlotte tore the house down. To me, it was the best match of the weekend.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms of a match.
Mm-hmm.
So that probably doesn't happen. And just there was another. Logan Paul's execution, like he pulled it off again, and Seth made it work. But like that could have honestly been a disaster too, because it's a celebrity. You never know. It was a great show. It was a great show, but I think Sunday was proof that there's still a lot of problems, and they still haven't figured out how to solve booking outside of that main angle. And now they've messed that up too.
But that it is something too that they gotta like going forward, because that's like the fourth ever since they've done 2-night WrestleManias, going back to the first one during the pandemic. It's always been night 1 has been pretty good, and night 2 has always been not so much.
I mean, look, your hottest faction outside of Bloodline is Judgment Day, and you had 2 of the 3 people lose. And now that Rhea's the champion on SmackDown, doesn't that stand to reason she's going to be on SmackDown and not on Raw all the time?
Right.
So you're either going to have to move that entire unit to SmackDown, or she's going to have to do double duty. I don't know. Sorry, bud. I know you're really happy about how the things were going around here.
I was. Oh well, life goes on. Hopefully by next week I'll be in a better mood.
I hope so.
I hope so too. All right. Till next time, guys. See ya.